The U.S. Secretary of State has defended Washington's backing of the Saudi-led coalition's bombing campaign in Yemen. It comes after a Senate vote last week to withdraw support. Mike Pompeo says its continuation, though, is a way to ensure just peace and to alleviate suffering from that war-torn country.
The senators who voted aye say they want to end the bombing in Yemen and support human rights. But we really need to think about whose human rights. If you truly care about Yemeni lives, you'd support the Saudi-led effort to prevent Yemen from turning into a puppet state of the corrupt, brutish Islamic Republic of Iran. The way to alleviate the Yemeni people's suffering isn't to prolong the conflict by handicapping our partners in the fight, but by giving the Saudi-led coalition the support needed to defeat Iranian-backed rebels and ensure a just peace.
Donald Trump's arms deals with Saudi Arabia are expected to total around $350 billion over a decade. And apart from arms supplies and military equipment, Washington also provides Riyadh with logistics and intelligence. Next this morning, our senior correspondent Murad Gazdiyev looks deeper into the U.S. Secretary of State's recent comments.
The United States makes no secret of what it stands for: freedom, justice, democracy, and Saudi Arabia. The White House stands firm on that, even if the Senate is having second thoughts, voting to end U.S. support for Riyadh's endless war in Yemen.
Saudi Arabia's bloody war in Yemen.
The world's worst humanitarian disaster.
The horrific war in Yemen.
Saudi-led quagmire.
We are helping Saudi Arabia drop bombs on churches, on weddings.
We all want this conflict to end. If you truly care about Yemeni lives, you'd support the Saudi-led effort to prevent Yemen from turning into a puppet state of the corrupt, brutish Islamic Republic of Iran.
As opposed to becoming a puppet of the free and fair Saudi Arabia. But what do we know? The Saudis have waged a 4-year war against Houthi rebels, who they call terrorists, that has turned Yemen into a humanitarian catastrophe, worse even than Syria. 4 in 5 Yemeni civilians, 24 out of 28 million, need aid to survive. 3 in 5, or 20 million, are either on the brink or already starving. But Mr. Pompeo has a solution.
The United States has given more than $2 billion to help the Yemeni people since the start of the conflict. And Saudi Arabia has given over $500 million in 2018 alone and has pledged an additional $500 million this year.
Which works out to about $2 per hungry civilian per month from Washington. But that's for the cameras. You know where the real money is? Guns. Oh yes, guns.
$3 billion, $533 million, $525 million. That's peanuts for you. Should have increased it.
Peanuts, he says. $12.5 billion in arms that the U.S. is selling Saudi Arabia is peanuts. What does that make the aid then? But Mr. Pompeo is adamant, if a little bit rabid, in his support for Saudi Arabia and gun sales.
If we truly care about Saudi lives, you'd want to stop Iran-backed Houthis from launching missiles into Riyadh.
Amazing how you can twist and turn reality on its head. Rather than protecting Yemeni civilians from Saudi Arabia, he's protecting Saudi Arabia from starving Yemeni civilians. Brilliant. Speaking of protecting Saudi lives, there is at least one life that Washington didn't seem so concerned about.
Mr. Khashoggi was the victim of a brutal and premeditated killing planned and perpetrated by officials of the state of Saudi Arabia.
Riyadh has brushed off accusations that the royal family had anything to do with it, saying it was a rogue operation, and it seems Washington was all too happy to support this explanation.
Here we see the real relationship, which brought trillions and trillions of dollars in profit to U.S. oil companies, the banks, the military corporations, the Trump government, and usually not just the Trump government, but the administrations in Washington, Democrat and Republican, serve the interest of those big banks and corporations. And so maintaining that relationship and with all that it means for profit and power and empire, the interest of empire, that's the priority, not the lives of the people of Yemen or the people of Saudi Arabia or the people of Venezuela or, for that matter, the people of the United States.